and start living together because we're so excited to play house and to cook dinner for each other and to do all these great things. But then guess what happens? We wake up and one day we go, how in the world did I get here? Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You may be in it right now. God did not wire us that way. That's why it doesn't work. It'll be good for a little while, but then it falls apart every time. Some of you will say, and I understand this, I get this. We are young people, most of us fresh into college or fresh out of college. Money's not growing off trees, right? Would you agree? Just give me a little head nod. All right, we get that. Money doesn't fly. So the first reasonable explanation would be, here's a girl, here's a guy, we like each other, we kind of love each other, but we don't really understand what that word means, but we use it a lot. So we think we should just hop together. Why? Because we save money, right? I got myself a roommate with benefits, if I can be honest. Let me tell you this. There is not a money financial struggle in the world that God can't conquer. And when we are living in His will, I promise He will bring blessings. It may not seem easy. You may not have a solution now, but I promise if we will honor what God's will is for us, He will get us out of whatever we're in. And there is no reason for us to jump in that together. We wait. This is the time that He's working. On the other hand, we have another problem. We have those that are firm believers in Christ. And we know that we must stay away from each other. You do that whole, I'm going to walk here, you walk there, we'll never touch until the day we get married. Commend you for that. But the problem is, what happens? We start dating for a whole whopping 2 weeks, and we go, I cannot wait. We've got to be together, but we've got to stay holy. So what do? Let's get married. Vegas, come on. And we start 2, 3, 4 weeks, if we're lucky, maybe a month. Okay. 8 weeks, whatever. We start strolling because all we want to do is honor God, but we want to really burn in desire and passion that we have burning for each other, and we can't seem to be without it. And so we jump the gun and we get married. And let me be brutally honest with you. I'll tell you what happens. And this is why I believe, this is not statistic, but this is why I believe the Christian divorce rate is so high. Because we jump in, and a few months later, we wake up one morning, if I could be honest with you, and we look to our left or right, depending on what side, or the floor, whichever one. And you go, I do not like you. And I don't know you. And I want out. And it'll happen every time. Guys, we have to be careful. This is sacred ground. We must not be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Our bodies can be beautiful, sacred places of worship to God, or they can be used and dirty places of worship to Satan. Verse 2. One evening, David got up from his bed and strolled around on the roof of the palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. A very beautiful woman. That's important. Here's the problem. Let me teach you something. Back then, if you wanted to take a nap, it happened at high noon, right after you ate lunch. They called it a siesta. Here's the problem. Evening takes place about 6 p.m. over there. So let's do the math. He laid in bed from 2 to 6. That would be what we call in modern day terminology, lazy. Lazy. Which leads us to point number 2. Laziness leads to lust. Laziness leads to lust. When you're hanging around all day at home, you start clicking on the computer, and you started on Facebook, and then you ended on YouTube, and where you ended, you don't know. It's easy to start clicking when you get weary. Your defenses are down, and you end up in places you shouldn't. It's easy to be hanging out with a boyfriend or girlfriend all day long, and you have exhausted all conversation that you can have, and you have done all the adventurous things you think you can do, and the next thing you know, the only thing left is, well, let's kill time a different way. Because our laziness, it leads to lust. That's not a maybe. That's every time. Laziness leads to lust. Maybe for some of you, let's be a little more realistic. Some of you have these long-distance relationships. And you have a late-night phone conversation, or maybe a Skype conversation. All right, let's be honest here. You start looking at each other. You start thinking about how far away he or she is. And say, hey, let's try something new. Laziness leads to lust. How do we fight this? You ready? We need to make pre-choice choices. We need to make pre-choice choices. What does that mean? That means before we get in the situation, we're going to decide what we're going to do. When we get in that situation, we need to decide what we're going to do. Does that make sense? Probably confuse you more. Let me put it more applicably. Get a pen and a piece of paper. And you start writing down the things that you do not want to participate in. And be vivid. Be descriptive. I will not lay on the couch with a guy or a girl. I will not have a phone conversation past 11 o'clock. I will not. Be descriptive. Why? Because when you get in that moment, guess what? It's hard. When she starts kissing on your neck, it's hard. You're going to remember that list, but it's going to be a blank page because it feels good and it looks good and we should move forward. No, you shouldn't. We got to make pre-choice choices. Here's what you do. Once you make that list and then you meet a guy or a girl and you start what we call a dating relationship. Terminology may be new to you. Okay, but you start dating. This is what you do. You take that piece of paper as if it was this and you show it to them. Hey, these are the guidelines I have made. These are the pre-choice choices I will not be a part of. And if they have a problem with that, I created this for you. You sing them a melody. And it's called Cry Me a River While You Bye Yourself Out the Door. You get that? Cry me a river while you bye. Because I don't need you and I don't need that. And I got my God and that's the only thing that matters. Period. Pre-choice choices. And we must get radical. We must get radical. Some of you, let's be honest, okay? You need to stop trying to turn off the computer or the TV. You just need to cut the cable. Serious. Guys, we got to get radical. If we are going to fight this, we must be willing to be radical. For me, Sarah and I, we're now engaged, as you all know. You can celebrate later. But we decided a few weeks in that, hey, this is getting hard. Can I be honest with you? This is getting hard. And so let's remove all opportunity and all temptation. So we've decided from this moment on, we're not going to kiss until the day we get married. Why? That's not some celebration thing for us because you know what happens when you kiss? You start passing these endorphins to each other and you start stimulating each other. And you know what kissing was created for? It was created to build your sexual desire so that you would have sex. Now, I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm just saying, guys, we got to get radical. If we're going to fight this, we've got to be willing to be radical. We make our choices and then we stick to them. Our bodies can be beautiful, sacred places of worship to God, or they can be dirty places of worship to Satan. Verse 3, so David sent someone. Remember, he's strolling around on the roof. He looks across. He sees a beautiful woman. So David sent someone to inquire about her or to find out about her. And he reported, this is Bathsheba, daughter of Eliam and wife of Uriah the Hittite. Point number 3. Lingering leads to imagination, which leads to destruction. Lingering